Hey, what's going on, guys? This is an audio-only video. I've really been busy and hadn't had time to do much with YouTube lately. But I'm going to make this video because it is necessary. It is April the 16th in the United States, and April the 16th commemorates a very important anniversary for our South Korean brothers and sisters. South Korea experienced a tragedy on April 16th, 2014, and I lived in South Korea during that time. But the tragedy was the sinking of the Sewol ferry. And the last time I was in South Korea, in an area of Seoul near the statue of King Sejong, and King Sejong was responsible for introducing the Hangul alphabet to the Korean written language. So he's a well-known and well-popular king in Korea, and their statues commemorating him. Well, close to that statue is memorials for the Sewol ferry victims. And the symbol for the Sewol tragedy is a yellow ribbon. Just like in the United States, the yellow ribbon is to support the soldiers or to support the troops. In South Korea, the yellow ribbon is used to remember the Sewol tragedy in South Korea. And let me explain what the Sewol tragedy is. Okay, there was a cruise ship going to Jeju Island, and it was composed of several people, but the majority of the people on that ship were from a high school in Ansan, South Korea, which is a town in the Gyeonggi province outside of Seoul. It's kind of like between Seoul and Incheon. Well, they take the ferry from Incheon, and they were headed to Jeju Island for a school trip. Well, we don't know what caused the sinking, but the ship, it took a long time to sink. But the captain of the ship, fortunately he's in prison, the captain of the ship boarded a lifeboat, and many of the crew did too, and then left the passengers basically to their own fate, which is why the majority of the passengers perished. Eventually, fishermen who witnessed the sinking came to try to assist the passengers as best as they could. And the South Korean Coast Guard eventually got word from the fishermen that the ship was sinking, and they came to try to rescue passengers as best as they could as well. But the captain and the crew, that's why the captain got arrested and sentenced to basically life in prison for abandoning the passengers and leaving the passengers to their own fate. And he really didn't send up any flare guns. He didn't radio for help, nothing like that. And the 172 students and faculty members from the high school survived, but over 300 of them perished. 300 of them died. And it's just a sad situation. So we need to remember the tragedy of the Sewol sinking. It's the April 16th is the 7th anniversary of the Sewol tragedy. Asian Boss did a really good video on this, and they interviewed some of the survivors. And one of the survivors was a guy named Sung-mook Kim. And he saw one student without the life jacket, and he said his biggest regret was not giving that person his life jacket. And then he remembers trying to save a small child from the water flooding the ship. And the next thing he remembers, he was fading in and out of consciousness, and the next thing he remembers is a fisherman throwing a rope into the water, and the fisherman pulled him and rescued him. And Sung-mook Kim gave his testimony to Asian Boss. He said his biggest regret was not the student he saw without a life jacket was not giving the student his life jacket. But the ship was not prepared for this sinking. They didn't have enough life jackets for every crew member and passenger, which is a sad situation. And Sung-mook Kim said he was in the breakfast room, and the next thing he knows, he couldn't sit up straight. The boat's tilted at 40 degrees. And there's an announcement that says, everybody don't panic, stay where you are. But then there's not an announcement for an evacuation. Then he sees the boat starts to get tilted at 80 degrees. Then shortly after 90 degrees, and he starts hearing Coast Guard helicopters in the air. But he kept wondering why there was never an announcement for evacuation. So it was pure negligence on the captain and the crew's part with this whole situation. So please remember the tragedy, the Sewol tragedy. Hope everybody's doing well. Take care. God bless them. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.